And we're coming to you live for the Build Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Friday morning. A feel-good summer Friday. The first one in August. It has been brutally hot, but we don't complain about that because all we do is complain about the terrible winters around here. So, yes, 95 degrees, 100% humidity, whatever it is, we will take it on this feel-good summer Friday. And you got the first look last night in the Hall of Fame game with the new kickoff rule. And I didn't think about this at all after I heard about it. I was like, I'll just wait to see what it looks like. I'm telling you, football fans, buckle up because it is over. All the people that have called up here for many years saying, oh, put a skirt on the quarterback. Oh, turn it into flag football. Oh, I don't know why it's not two-hand touch. And I said, hey, man, listen, don't worry about it. It is a violent game. They're never going to take it out of the game. It's such an intense game. Well, last night I felt differently. This is such an extreme rule change for the sake of player safety. I am scared of what the game is going to look like in 10 years. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Good morning, G. I don't know why you're scared. I mean,
what do you mean? Why? You want me to explain?
Well, you know what?
This is the most extreme rule change I have ever seen in pro sports in my lifetime.
In your lifetime.
In my lifetime.
All right, good morning.
Yeah,
I've actually saw this, what was it, in the XFL and everything else like that. But what this is going to do is going to create more offense. It's going to create more plays. It's going to create more excitement. It's going to create opportunities for the offensive team to score a lot more points. That's what I think this is going to do. That's my sense in watching this. And last night you saw second and third teamers doing it. It will be interesting when we get into the regular season and you have these special teams coaches putting certain players out there and creating different plays. Well, I can't wait to see who's going to be the most creative with the new lineup and everything. But I will say, it no longer is the kickoff just a dead play anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and I never felt like it was totally dead to begin with. I still felt like a lot of guys were returning the ball, and I don't know. I didn't feel like it needed this change. Now, they did a lot of research on the kickoff and kickoff returns, and there were a lot of injuries that happened more so than any other type of play that would happen either special teams or during the regular game. So I understand in player safety and concussions and all of these things are important to the NFL, as they should be. But we also see in other sports guys beating the hell out of each other. Boxers, UFC, all of this stuff that happens where we're just bloodying each other and then nobody's talking about concussions. But somehow in the NFL, we got to do this crazy rule change to make sure that everybody's okay. If we start here, then what are you going to do? Like, guy goes over the middle and then you put two hands on him and then all of a sudden the whistle blows? Is that what we're going to see next? I mean, honestly, I was shocked when I was watching this. And it's one thing to see it in the XFL, because it's the friggin' XFL. This is the NFL. I saw a graphic that said landing zone last night during an NFL game.
Yes. That's where the ball
landing zone.
Yes, that's where the ball has to land.
Excuse me.
And this is why kickers are possibly going to be getting more involved, and why Justin Tucker from the Baltimore Ravens said, he's been working out in the weight room because he may have to make some tackles.
Jesus Christ!
But it's basically to create more offense, to create more excitement, more opportunity.
It's player safety is what they.
Well, I mean, it's player safety, but I think there's going to be unintended consequences, or maybe they are intended. I'm not sure, but it's going to take a while for everybody to get used to this. Not everybody's going to like it like you. I mean, you are an old school football fan. I'm an old school football player.
I never thought I'd be, but here's the thing that scared me last night is I turned into the old barbarian football fan that I was trying to calm down for so many years. How many phone calls over the years have we gotten when you see like quarterbacks and roughing the passer and you see these flags and they're like, I don't understand why. Just have a quarterback play without a helmet. Just put two flags around his waist because you can't hit a quarterback. You can't touch a quarterback. You can't hit someone up high. You can't hit someone down low. And I'm like, dude, this is what I used to say. I was like, stand on the sideline for either a college football game or an NFL game and tell me it's not the most physical thing you've ever seen with your two eyes. Now, this is an entry point into I don't know what's next.
It's still, but you still
what
have
next.
You still have 10-on-10 collisions though. You are having collisions. They're just a little bit closer to each other, and they're forcing the collisions because of the landing zone. So they will. Look, I don't remember, and just for 1 year, we don't necessarily know that this is going to be after this year. So we will see. It's going to take. Yes, it is extreme. It's extreme to your eyes. It's extreme to everything that you think that football should be. But then again, all the rules have been such that a lot of those big hits that you see from the 70s and 80s and 90s when I played, all those highlight films.
Sure.
We used to have the quarter pounder, graphic and videotapes opening NFL Today that showed all the big hits of the week before.
I understand.
They don't even do that anymore.
No,
so,
I know.
And by the way, you talk about back when you were. Hey, they got a man in the goddamn Olympics fighting women, busting up her noses.
We will
get
to that because I don't know what's going on. I mean, this was insane. We'll get to that later because there's a lot to talk about.
We talked about it yesterday, but I'm just saying that, not in every sport are they really worried about that's participant safety.
Well, that's my point. It's like the NFL goes so above and beyond with this. And I understand there's unions and the NFL is the NFL and more people care about that than women's boxing in the Olympics. I understand. But
you'd be surprised how many people care about women's boxing all of a sudden in the Olympics.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a political issue. The actual sport, nobody gives a crap about.
It's actually a real issue. Forget politics.
All right, we'll talk about it later, for God's sakes.
Okay.
Jesus.
All right.
Stay on track for once.
I got you.
Next thing you know, we're going to be down another road, and we're going to be killing people, and we're going to be talking about Putin. Let's just focus on the NFL for 1 second. It's a feel-good Friday. All right. So,
but man, you want to go to Italy, man. That's all I can tell you.
What's that?
You can't wait to get to Italy, I can tell.
Especially now.
Yes.
All right, so here's the difference between all these things that you're talking about and the changes and what they've done and what it used to look like in the 80s. I could always put on an NFL football game, and I'd be like, that's an NFL football game. If I turned that on last night and saw that first kickoff and I didn't know the rule change, I'd be like, what is this? What's this? The Arena League? Oh, they're playing an Arena League game outside?
Yep.
What's going on here? Is this the Pro Bowl? Are they replaying the Pro Bowl or something? I thought the Pro Bowl went away. This was the first time in my lifetime.
In your lifetime?
Lifetime.
Yes.
That I put on an NFL football game and it didn't look like an NFL football game. And that's what alarmed me. And maybe I'll get used to this. But is this, dare I say, the tip of the iceberg?
No. Again, it's a year right now. They're going to keep it for a year, and then they'll analyze it at the end of the season, and they'll look at it. And if they feel like as the season goes on, it becomes more of a significant play, and they're getting a lot of plays out. I think it's a great thing for the offense. That's what I think. And I think it also creates another play potential for anybody who can be creative in this situation.
Yeah, and this is why you see some teams signing some rugby players and stuff like that, which, okay, I mean, that's one side of it. Maybe it turns out to be fun and different, and maybe I'll like it by the end of the season. But when you see, like, is it a fair statement that of all, this even more so than putting a runner on second base in extra innings seems like the largest, most radical rule change in any sport that I watch.
That's what it's like. So you got the Manford man or the Ghost Runner, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a significant change. That was to protect pitchers, and that was to get games over quickly. There were a lot of reasons why they did that. And, we've all become accustomed to it now during the regular season.
Right. During the regular season, 162 games. It only happens in extra innings. This is every time a game starts, every time a half starts, and every time after a team scores. It's a lot, man. It's a huge change.
It is. Well, I'm trying to think about how many of those plays do you think that there will be? Probably somewhere between 10 and 12 when you consider the kickoff of the game, the kickoff at halftime, and then all the scoring that goes on. And I do believe that there's going to be an uptick in scoring after watching this. Now, last night was second and thirds, so I don't really know what to expect. There wasn't a lot of it was pretty vanilla. Both teams played it pretty vanilla, and I can't wait to see what happens when we get into the regular season and how the real guys go about trying to come up with some creative way to make plays out of this. You know somebody's going to have something.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, I don't even – I'm still confused after reading through all of it. Like, what happens if the kicker does kick it out of the landing zone? Like, what's the penalty for that? Where does the ball come out to?
Where they'll put the ball, I think it's on the 30 – is it 30 or 35? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it has to be something that's punitive because – then there's no play. You just kick it right through the end zone every time.
Actually, maybe the 40. I have to
if it's a 40, then that's punitive because that's essentially like kicking the ball out of bounds in the old rules.
Exactly. So my sense is right now is that okay, it's one game. You'll get used to it, just like you got used to the Manford man on second base.
Yeah.
And we'll get used to it, and there'll be plays, and there'll be exciting plays, and there'll be some runbacks. I mean, the interesting thing is that. Guys can't move until the receiver catches the ball.
Yeah.
The returner catches the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And once they move, now all of a sudden, I personally think that the runner I feel like he's got an easier job of trying to find a hole to get through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say.
But
We'd have to talk to some of those guys.
Let's say the ball comes down to the right receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing on the right side of the formation, the left side of the defense. And you're telling your right side to block out, and you're telling your left side to block out. I mean, and then it's you and the kicker. If the guys can hold their blocks. I mean, I think there's a potential for a number of returns here. I do. Especially with the athletes we're talking about now. We're not talking about XFL, USFL athletes. We're talking about the best of the best.
I mean, I never thought I'd see a day as an NFL football fan where in the same night I saw the graphic landing zone during a kickoff, and then the game got canceled because of weather. What are we doing? What happened?
Well,
happened?
You can't have the fans there with
what
lightning.
Happened to the NFL? I don't know, man. I'm telling you, in my lifetime.
In your lifetime, again. Here we go.
I think by the time.
How about my lifetime?
Well, I don't think it'll be that extreme in your lifetime, but I'm thinking when I'm like, hopefully. When I'm 80 years old and I'm still maybe I'm not watching football because I'm so disgusted. We're gonna see guys in straight up bubble wrap. That's what we're gonna see. They're gonna be like wearing full body condoms out there to play football.
So do they have 2-a-days anymore?
No.
How many days in a row? I think can they practice 3 and then they have to have an off day?
I'm not positive, but yes, I understand.
Something like some crazy thing like that, right? And they have walkthroughs now.
Yeah,
they don't practice with pads during the season. Everybody's got to be careful. Nobody plays in the preseason.
It's been creeping.
Yeah,
and last night it went over a cliff. Yeah. It went over a cliff.
And guys are getting paid $60 million to play.
It went over a cliff, man. My jaw dropped, and I understand that. Like I'll admit, I wasn't paying attention. When you sit there and talk about rule changes. It's just boring. So I'm like, when I see it, I'll deal with it. And then I'm watching, like, it's the XFL one. Okay, it's the XFL. But the XFL is the XFL. It's not the NFL. So the last night was the first time I really thought about it and really watched it. And it was shocking. And there's still going to be a lot of people, by the way, that, didn't watch last night, aren't going to watch during the preseason, and then week 1 are going to be completely floored by this. So it's just, and I'm all for guys being healthy for the rest of their lives. But you sign up to play this game, and you get rewarded. You get rewarded for it handsomely, if you end up being a good player. So I don't want to sit here and sound like I want to see guys have concussions or have issues when they're older. But there's reasons why we love football, and physicality, and those things are important to us in watching the game.
Here's the thing I do know. If it doesn't land within the landing zone, like if it's short of the landing zone, it's like a kick out of bounds and the ball goes to the 40-yard line.
To the 40, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's just I think it's going to create more offense. And we may have more kickers injured because they may have to get involved in tackling. More so than they were before.
Okay. But how many of those guys actually get involved in tackling?
Justin Tucker gets involved.
Okay. One out of 32?
I mean, Jim Breach didn't like to get involved. Remember, he was smaller.
Yeah, but that was 100 years ago.
Easy with 100 years ago, cuz. I mean,
these kickers, they pretend to get involved. They dive when they know they can't get to the guy. They
Punters
don't get involved.
Some of those guys actually lift weights.
Yeah, I mean, we
What
have
about
a few of
Weatherford?
them.
What about Weatherford?
Yeah, he's not, but he's a punter and he's not playing anymore.
But he's still a kicker, and he's still got to go make tackles.
Most of these guys do not get involved. You know it to stop. He's sitting there defending kickers and punters, and you like the new kickoff. What happened to you?
Yeah, the other thing too, any kick that does land in the zone, they have to return it. There's no fair catching, none of that crap. You have to return the ball. That's what they're trying to get to.
Okay.
They want because they were losing the play.
Yeah.
There was really very few kickoff returns.
Right. And then there's also like a hoop that you could jump through and you get half a point.
So in other words, what you would like for Team A, the kicking team, to move back to their own 25-yard line and let the kicker kick off from there and do the kickoff the way they always did.
Yes.
That's what you want.
That's what I would love.
That's what you want.
Thank
you want guys running full speed trying to knock the crap out of each other. You know why? Because that's what football is.
Goddamn right.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something.
Okay.
I was a terrible football player, but I played in high school for a prestigious Long Island high school football program, and I was always on the scout team because I sucked, right? And I used to have to put on.
Suck! Don't say that.
No, I did. I'm telling you, I was not a good player.
You were a scout team player. You had a purpose.
I wasn't good enough to start a lot of games. Let's
You're
put
like
it that
a
way.
blocking dummy.
Right. So this is why I bring this up. We'd have these beanies that you'd put on your head as the scout team, the yellow beanies.
Yellow or a white beanie. Yeah.
Right. And we would have to practice. So we'd be the scout, either kickoff team or kick return team. And I would go out there, even though I wasn't going to be in the game, and I would get my ass kicked by the starters. And I'd have to run down there and boom, I'd get killed. Or if I was the kickoff return team, I'd sit there, you get another guy to wedge
block.
Bam, you get your face kicked in.
Right.
And I still to this day can feel my ears ringing from those days. And then here I am, 42 years old. I put on a football game last night, professional football, and I see landing zone. And that 17-year-old me said, what happened? What happened to the game I love?
When do you think the landing zone is going to become sponsored?
Landing
today.
Zone.
Landing
This
Zone
morning.
brought to you by Delta.
Yeah,
Delta
right.
Airlines.
100%. There it is.
Got to be, right?
Somebody's on
Somebody's
it right now.
on it right now as we speak. And maybe I just gave them the idea.
Maybe.
You never know.
Well, Tony Toronto's on the phone right now. You know it.
He's all over it, man.
He is all over it.
He is on it like you know what. Listen, let me just, when I got to Maryland, I was the 10th string quarterback. They had 10 quarterbacks, and I was 10th string my first year. And I had to do exactly what you did at Bellport.
Yeah.
I had to do at Maryland.
Yeah.
And I had to do it for 2 years. Not 1 year, 2 years.
Two of them, wow.
And they were kicking the living crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And they were trying to get you to quit. They wanted to see whether or not you could do
test,
it or not.
Test your mettle.
That first week that I was there, I won Zingo of the Week.
Zingo of the Week?
And I got the dress for the opening game at Bird Stadium.
Nice.
I couldn't play. I could just dress with the guys and feel like I was part of the team. And then from week one, winning Zingo of the Week until 40 weeks or 50 weeks or however many weeks later it was, I didn't ever suit up for another home game until 1981. So in September of 79, I dressed as Zingo of the Week. And then I did not dress again for a home game until the 81 season. So 2 years.
Yeah, for busting your ass and doing that and being the scout team kick return, scout team kickoff team, and just getting your ass kicked.
And you want to know something? I took it seriously.
Damn right.
I was pissed.
You should.
That's what I'm saying. So I understand your pain when you talk about getting run over.
Yeah.
With your little beanie cap on.
That's right.
I was
These
one
kids,
of those guys.
They're never going to know now what that was like. They're never going to know. We're just going to make, football players that just don't know the grind and the hitting and the, spitting at your mouthpiece and the dirt in your face because there's a landing zone now.
Well, the NFL now is loaded with doctors, which they should be. There's a lot of concussion experts. A lot of neurologists are involved.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know they study woodpeckers.
Yes, they did study woodpeckers. And I don't know if any of those guys actually played football or not. Yeah. But they're trying to make it as safe as they possibly can. And many people think that those practice helmet pads that they're wearing may end up finding themselves in or on the field. How are you going to feel about that?
This is what I'm saying. It's just my entire.
How are you going to feel about that?
Thank you. My entire point has just come to roost. That's what I'm saying. Tip of the iceberg.
You know, the amazing thing is like my dear friend Bill Cowher. You know him, right?
Of course.
When he played,
he was probably crying last night watching this.
Probably, but when he played, he actually used to wear pads on every part of his body. He had like the neck roll.
Well, because he knew he was sacrificing himself.
Remember the old hand pads?
Oh, sure.
You remember the arm pads?
Yeah.
And you remember that they used to come over the elbow. Like he looked. I don't know. He looked like RoboCop out there. He had so many things on.
Yeah.
But nowadays, guys don't wear really a lot of pads.
Some of them don't even wear thigh and knee pads.
Or shoulder pads.
Well, you have very small shoulder pads. You have to wear shoulder pads, but you can't.
Yeah,
they're very small. Like Michael Bennett used them.
Michael Bennett didn't wear anything.
Yeah, well.
I think he put gauze pads on his shoulders.
Maybe.
It's crazy.
It is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Quick break. We'll get Jerry in here on this feel-good summer Friday. The Godfather.